Okay, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing some experiments with making custom figures. I've done this a couple times before, but I kind of just want to show my process, which I thought might be kind of interesting to some people. Now, I've got two Future Trunks figures here made by Irwin, and you can see that they're kind of similar. The one arm sculpt is almost exactly the same. For some reason, the skin tone paint is very different. I guess they just used a different color paint for that. And even the paint on the pants is a little bit different. I feel like this one's a little glossier. But the reason I want to do this is you can see that these figures, I don't know how in focus this is, but you could see that there's like a lot of paint loss. He's got paint loss on the hands, paint loss on the feet and stuff. I have another Future Trunks figure of this one that actually has the sword and is in pretty much perfect condition. So I don't mind using this spare one that I got from a lot to kind of play around with and, you know, try something different. I have done customs before. I actually just did a head swap pretty recently, where I took a Super Saiyan 2 Future Trunks and I put him on a different body because the body he had, like, the fists are facing forward and it just looked kind of dumb, and the head was really loose to begin with. And you can see I actually managed to get it on here with the head motion still intact. It does have a little bit of paint loss on the fists, but the head that was on here was like the non-Super Saiyan version, and it had a lot of paint loss along the edges of the hair. Especially on the back where it rubbed against the armor here. Surprisingly, it doesn't look like it messed the armor up, though. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape. The arm's a tiny bit loose, but it's still posable, as you can see. It'll hold a pose that you put it in. But, like, you know, if you move it around a lot, it'll kind of flop a little bit. But, you know, I just wanted to experiment with a head swap, and I was actually successful on both ends. I got this head pegged in, which was very difficult because this originally had a peg here, and the other body was the reverse. It had a peg and a hole in the head, so I had to re-drill a new hole, and I had to kind of modify, you can see a little bit of the scraping there, to make these two fit together. But now it fits on there pretty tight, and I mean, it's not gonna come off on its own, but you can still pull it off, which I don't mind. So I'm going to try to do something similar with these two figures here today, because I actually like the head sculpt on this guy. He's normally supposed to shoot an energy blast, and you can see it leaves this ugly hole on the hand, and it's kind of got a button right here that would fire it. I don't even have the energy blast for it. I just bought this one used basically to get the head off of it. It's got a tiny bit of paint loss on the back, but I don't think that's a big deal. I might touch it up with a little bit of yellow paint later on. But today I'm just going to focus on the actual head swap itself. So even though these two figures are both made by Irwin, both in the year 2000, as it says on the back of their swords, and they have very similar sculpts, they were probably made... you know, they were probably designed and manufactured at the same time. There's a good chance that these heads are not pegged on the same way. So the first thing we're going to do is see how these heads are pegged on and go from there. Alright, so the first step is going to be to get some hot water. You don't want it to be boiling. I usually microwave a very small dish of it for just a couple minutes. There should be a little steam coming off it, but you don't want it to be boiling. And what this is going to do is it's going to soften up this plastic for me. And you can see now it's looking pretty bendable, and I should be able to just pop that off. Yeah, it looks like you could see it looks like it's pegged into the body. So it's actually probably really similar to the way that other one was. So I'm actually going to let it soak a little longer. This one might be a little tricky to pull out. But once it gets nice and heated up, you can also use I've heard of people using a hair dryer. I just like using hot water because I feel like it really can kind of get in. If there's like a seam, it'll sort of get in there and heat up the inner part. And on top of that, it lubricates it a little bit by, you know, just getting it wet, and you could see it wants to come. Ah, yeah, see, and it snapped. That's what you got to be careful of. So I do still have a little bit of peg left on here. So it depends on how this head is. If this head, depending on how he wants to come off, it might still be okay because I might have to drill this out anyway, like I had to do for the other one. But if not, I will probably have to make it work another way. Yeah, you can see, now that I'm looking at the way this goes in there, that's real in there. It actually goes all the way into the body, and there's almost like a little, it's kind of hard to see when you're peeking in there, but you can see there's a little seam. There's almost like a plastic lip that's holding that piece in. So that would not have been removable without destroying it. So it's a good thing that I didn't really have any plans for this body. It's probably just going to kind of go in my custom pile in case I need to like grab an arm off of it or something. But hopefully this one does not work the same way, because now at this point it would actually be better if it didn't. And this guy really doesn't want to come off, but we're going to get it off one way or another. If it comes down to it, I will just have an immovable head, which I would like to avoid doing, but, you know, if I can just get this on that body and he just can't turn his head, that's not that big of a deal. This is more of an experiment than really trying to do anything. Okay, I'm going to pull this a little closer to my body to try to get it off. Ah, perfect. There, see, this one liked to come off nice and easy, and just like I suspected, it's the opposite. I think it might be that these toys in the different lines were actually designed by different teams, so they have completely, I mean, this is a completely different pegging system than the other one, although it is similar. It's kind of weird. I don't know why they do it this way. Because this peg seems to be unique, and you can see it's got this little thing down here. That's what I had to remove on the other one to be able to put my own custom slotted head. So what I'm gonna do real quick is dry these guys off. Yeah, this is why you always want to have a paper towel handy while you're doing this. And you know, if you do the hot water method, I have pretty good heat resistance on my hands, but you know, the bowl gets very hot, so you want to be real careful. Get that out of your way so you don't spill it on yourself. And so what we're gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to remove this, which I'm going to do right now. There's an easier way of doing this, which is having a Dremel bit that's a cutting bit, and you could hear that went flying. That's why I don't like doing it that way. But I don't have my Dremel cutter at the moment, and the battery on my Dremel is real weak. So I'm not gonna bother. And you can see what I'm doing right here is I'm just smoothing the removed peg off so that it should, in theory, be a little easier to drill out. See, so now that's nice and relatively smooth. And I mean, it's a nice head sculpt. I actually like the head sculpt on this guy. It's not bad looking at all. So I'm pretty excited how this is gonna look in the end. It should look pretty, you know, pretty spot on. So you could see this is real weird the way this peg works. So what I'm going to try to do is take off some of this top part. Yeah, and you could see now it doesn't have that weird little, I don't know what the point of that little piece was. It like went all the way up in, you could see it goes really all the way up into his head. And I also don't want to have to try to imitate this keyhole shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove, I'm just going to try to remove this little piece that sticks out and makes it a keyhole. The trick is getting the right angle. Yeah, and you can see what I'm doing. I'm just scraping it off. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of it off camera because I need to really get in close and make sure that I'm not hitting too much of the neck. I don't know if I'm going to try to drill the head out on camera because I don't have a drill attachment that will work with my Dremel. I'm going to order some new parts for this thing and a new battery so that it, you know, lasts a little longer. These, if you're a hobbyist wanting to do customs, a Dremel 7300, or I mean pretty much any modern Dremel with, you know, the detachable heads, this is like a must-have. If you don't have one of these, you're gonna have a very rough time of it. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just absolutely love Dremel. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get this peg a little bit more. I'm gonna drill this head out. Basically, all I'm going to do is I might use the Dremel to kind of make a little spot right here with one of the other tools. I'll actually show that real quick. So I'm going to put this on high speed. And I'm going to very carefully mark where I want to make the hole. But unfortunately, this thing, oh well, it's actually doing a pretty good job on this softer plastic. And now, ooh, that's hot. Now all I really have to do is drill that out a little bit better, and you can see that this will just peg right on where the other one used to go. But since I have to drill it so deep, and I don't really have a proper tool on my Dremel for that, I'm gonna be stupid and use a full-size drill, which, I don't know if I want to record that because it's gonna be very tricky. Alright, I have decided that I will, in fact, try to be stupid on camera for this, since I feel that it would benefit it to show it. So I'm going to try to get this piece off. Switch to the other bit. Got one piece that doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. And I scrape the, oops. Always make sure that's off before you put it down. I scraped a little bit more than I was hoping, but now you can see what you want to do now is you want to match your drill bit as close as you can to the size of that peg. Honestly, this one might be a little on the big side, but I'm just going to do it very carefully and try not to take more than I need to. You can also kind of get an idea of the depth you want to go by kind of comparing it. So you could see I only want to go about that much in, so I don't have to go very far in on the head. Hopefully this angle is going to work, because I have to be able to see what I'm doing with the drill. But on the upside, you'll be able to see if I fuck it up. So all you want to do is you want to really make sure if you're doing something stupid like this is you at least wear some protective gear on the hand that's going to be holding the head, and make sure you got a real good firm grip on that first before you do anything else. So then what I'm going to do is very, very, very carefully with just I'm just going to be... You see, I'm not putting the drill on full power. I'm just going to go real slow and careful. Oops, see, that's what happens if you don't have a good grub. I don't think that's quite deep enough. I think that should be good. I'm gonna go a little bit extra just to be on the safe side. There we go, that has to do it. Now you can see it leaves kind of some little bits and bobs there, and you can kind of take going with your Dremel and just kind of smooth that out a little bit. I actually might need to kind of go in there with a screwdriver and get these little bits off here. Yeah, and you can see once you pull those little bits off, you're good to go. Okay, so I'm gonna take this drill out of the way for now. Don't think I need it again, but you know, you never know. Okay, now theoretically this should just pop on. Ah, yeah, look at that. Absolutely perfect. It might take a little bit of adjusting, but that's actually on there pretty good. Yeah, that's actually pretty successful. Now the problem is I did get a little bit of paint off the neck, so I'm gonna have to go in there and touch that up later, and I feel like this isn't quite level. So I'm gonna just kind of go at slow speed and just kind of level that off a little bit, kind of behind his chin, so that in theory his chin should cover up a little bit more of that front of the neck. Yeah, there you go. And that is absolutely beautiful in my opinion. You have a nice Super Saiyan Future Trunks with more of the full range of motion that you would expect from a Irwin figure. You know, articulation on the knees. You can have him doing a nice, you know, flying kick there. He's got the nice arm articulation where it goes in the full ball socket. You know, I mean, the Irwin toys don't have a ton of articulation, but it's, you know, it's nice to have them like this. So, yeah, that's about it. That's all there is to it. Swapping heads isn't that hard. Now, the harder thing to do would be if I wanted to take these leftovers and kind of have a, you know, like a Ki Blast non-Super Saiyan Trunks. What you'd have to do is either build a peg from the body to go into this head, which is probably how I would do it. Take the peg from another broken figure like this, and add that peg on here, which would obviously be the real smart way of doing it. There's a lot of ways of doing it. You could also drill this the rest of the way out and add a peg to the head itself using something like Epoxy Sculpt. I'm probably not going to do any of those. These are probably just going to go into my junk bin. If I do decide to do it for fun, I'll either do another video on it or maybe even just have kind of a post showing off the end result just to show that I was able to do it. But probably not. These are probably just going to go in my junk bin because I don't like this body. You know, there's almost no articulation. There's only articulation at the hips and shoulders. It's not even ball joint articulation. Not even on the offhand where he would be holding the sword. I don't know why they didn't just recycle the they just didn't want to put it on, I guess. But yeah, so that's about it. That's all there is to it. Other than that, I'm probably going to touch up the paint on this guy a little bit and maybe make that fit a little bit better. You could see it's not perfect. I might Dremel a little bit more off the front here. But yeah, I would say all in all, that's a success. That's how you would transplant a head from one figure to another. If you like this video, make sure to let me know. I will try to do more videos like it in the future. If so, I do want to do a lot more customizing, especially with DBZ figures, because especially with Jax and Irwin, you get a lot of hit and miss with the head sculpt, but then sometimes they have a really nice body sculpt. So I might get more figures like the Energy Blast one where I like the head and put it on the figures where I don't like the body. But yeah, other than that, have a good one.